G'day. Let's have a look at the season of Matthew Kennedy. Just go through the usual formalities with this player report card, just a bit on his history, where he's at the moment. He's 25 years of age, played 78 career games now across the 7 seasons in the AFL. Played 19 of those with the GWS Giants across 2 years and played 59 with us. This year he played a total of 17 games. That's the best he's been able to put together. So his games span across those 7 seasons. Started off with 3, 16, 12, 10, 7, 13 last year and 17 this year. He's an inside mid. There's no doubt about that. He can spread. I think that's been an improvement in his game, his ability to get to contest, and he's really improved his tank. But, Voss said to him, apparently, well, he did say to him because it was in an interview with Matthew Kennedy when he re-signed at the football club, that there are only 2 spots up for grabs, really, as a pure inside midfielder. And obviously one of those was going to go to Patrick Cripps. And, he really put it on Kennedy when he arrived at the club, to take that opportunity with both hands. And, I think he has thus far. Contract status, 225, he comes out of contract. Signed a 3-year deal in May after an unbelievable start to the season. I remember that. I remember when he signed. I think the club released it via social media sort of mid-morning. There was a lot of fanfare, a lot of excitement from the supporters because we were flying at that stage, and then bang, the club dropped a bombshell that evening, or late afternoon. They dropped a bombshell that I think it may have been Harry. Yeah, it might have been Harry had gone down with a knee injury and would have missed a large chunk of game. So, yeah. I think that's reward for effort, though, for Kennedy, that 3-year contract, because you look at his draft, which I like to do, just go back a little bit and have a look where he's come from in regards to the draft. Pick 13, academy player for the Giants when they had that sort of access to, I think it was to Riverina. I think it was that area where Kennedy came from. So they picked him at 13, and an interesting one, Richmond actually bidded for him in that draft. Giants obviously matched that bid, and then the Tigers went and bidded for, the pick later, they bidded for Eric Hipwood, who was part of the zone there in Brisbane, and Brisbane said, no, we want Eric Hipwood. So then they finally got their pick at pick 15, the Tigers, and they ended up picking up Dan Rioli. I don't think they'd be too disappointed with that, to be perfectly honest. 3-time premiership player. He's flying at the moment across half back. So, they could have had Matthew Kennedy, the Tigers, or they could have had Eric Hipwood, and in the end they landed Dan Rioli. Gee, it's funny how things sort of just work out in the end. And then, obviously, he wanted to come back. Well, we headhunted Matthew Kennedy. We gave away pick 28 in 2017 when he came across to Princes Park. I'm really inconsistent first few years in the football club. Had some injuries, but I think under his own admission, he probably wasn't in great headspace or got his body right. But he was demoted to the rookie list in 2020 after that, after the season was sort of really impacted by COVID. And part of that was, I think, financial, but a lot on his form as well. He hit back last year, started off a little bit slowly in the VFL, but when he got his chance, he was pretty good, and was re-elevated onto the senior list in 2021 and then got that 3-year contract. Season snapshot, 17 games, as I mentioned, played the first 5 and was on fire early in the season. Missed round 6 against the Dockers over there. Also lost Cripper really early in that game as well, did we not? Or was that the Gold Coast game? I think it may have been the Gold Coast game. But yeah, we lost. We didn't have Kennedy available for that Fremantle Dockers game. He went out with the dreaded soreness, the old dreaded soreness at the Carlton Football Club. It seems to be, a lot of our players have that soreness. Returned for round 7, played the next 4, missed round 11 against Collingwood with a cork thigh. Then we had the bye, so we had a couple of weeks off. Returned for round 13, then strung together 8 in a row before succumbing to that Lynn Frank injury, which required surgery, so he didn't make it back out into the park. So didn't play the last 3. And in the end, didn't play against Collingwood. Both games we lost by the narrowest, really, of margins, and we didn't have Bam Bam available for both of those games. Yeah, interesting one. Stats, as I'm an inside midfielder, his bread and butter is the contested game, isn't it? And he's pretty bloody good at it. I think he's more than handy at it. So his disposal suggests that he's going to be above average in, things like clearances, 4.6 a game, contested possessions above average, 11.1. He's averaging around about 24.5 disposals a game this season. He was on fire. In the first 3 games, he had plus 30, 33, 31, and 30. Scoring involvement's 5.7 above average. Inside 50, 4.3 above average. Metres gained, 312.6 average. Disposal efficiency, 71% average. Effective kick, so above average. So he's not a bad kick of the football. Tackles above average, 4.1. I love his marking. Above average, 4.6. I think he's really strong contested mark for his size. I think his best game, I think it was round 1. It's the one I remember against the Tigers, 33 touches. And he wasn't the only one, in our midfield who was excellent that night, but he kicked the goal and had 8 clearances. He was huge. And it was on the back of that outstanding pre-season game he had against Melbourne at Marvel Stadium where, we had 37 disposals and 2 goals. I think the start to his season gives us a lot of hope, really, that, he's not going to be that type of player who's going to be winning those numbers each week. But it just shows you that he can have days out. He can have a tremendous impact. I think his worst game, like a lot of the players early in the year, was when Cripper went down against the Gold Coast Suns, and that was round 4. He only had 15 disposals and no clearances. And I say that he didn't quite get his mojo back, really, did he? After that blistering start to the season, he was consistent, but didn't quite reach that heights in any of the games thereafter. His strengths, I think he's got a lot of strengths, obviously, as an inside mid. His contest work is really good. I love his marking. And I mentioned that before. It sort of reminds me, he's not Patrick Dangerfield, so I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that he has the impact of a Patrick Dangerfield. But midfielders of his size who can take marks around the ground at important times. He's very courageous in the air, very vice-like grip. I really love that part of his game. I really do. And I think, he's an accumulator of the ball. And I think he's more than just chip kicks around. I think he has a pretty good impact on the game. He can hit the scoreboard as well. The weakness is always with inside mids such as Bam Bam is probably speed and agility. I don't think he necessarily covers the ground that well, although I think he has really improved that part of his game. And that's probably why he's getting the nod, really, over the likes of Will Setterfield and Paddy Downs, because, I think he really has built that engine. and he's able to get from contest to contest, and he's a pure inside mid. He's got a few more strings to his bow, including the marking, hitting the scoreboard, a little bit more penetration in his kicking. One word for Bam Bam. Thought about this one. I went with emergence. I mean, 3-year contracts, it's great reward for effort. I know he's been in the AFL system now for 7 seasons, but it's taken this long, really, I think, for him to find what's really required at the level. You know, I think a lot of players obviously mature at different rates. You know, some come in and explode straight away. Some need possibly a kick up the arse. I don't know if he did get a kick up the arse, but certainly being demoted to the rookie list would have probably said to him, "Wow, you know, my time in this game could come to an end unless I start to knuckle down." I think it's fantastic for us, fantastic for him. You know, that he's found that now. But look, it's all in front of him. This is really, when you think about it, this is just the start. 25 years of age, 3-year contract. We should be seeing the best of Matthew Kennedy over the next 3 years, the real best. And I'm talking about consistency. You know, you're going to have your down games, but consistency at the level. I thought this year he did find consistency. You know, but you would like to probably see him have more impact games like he did in the first 3 rounds. I've given him a 7 out of 10. I mean, he was tracking, you know, 9.5 at one stage. But you know, the type of game he plays, it's hard to, I suppose, sustain that. It really is. So you reach that level, which I thought he did. But I'm giving him a 7 out of 10. Only one game, you know, across his 17 below 20 touches, which is good when you really think about it. So yeah, I think it was a pretty bloody consistent season for Matthew Kennedy, which unfortunately for us came to an end with that injury. So let's fingers crossed that he gets his body right and comes back next year. Even a better player involved in that midfield. What do you reckon, guys? What do you reckon of Matthew Kennedy? Do you like his year? You know, is Matthew Kennedy and Cripper the 2 inside mids that could potentially take us all the way? Let us know your thoughts.